Hello, I'm Stephen Boyd from Eason.com, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Andrea Hayes, who joins us today. Her new book, A Pain-Free Life, My Journey to Wellness, has just been published by Mercy Press. Andrea, thank you so much for coming in.
It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about the book. Obviously, you've been living with chronic pain for a very long time. Can you tell us about how it started and when you first realised that things weren't quite right?
I suppose I've had pain since childhood. I had a hearing problem as a child, so even through my teens I was in hospital and it was quite clear that things weren't right. But I'm from a Dublin Irish family where you just have to keep going, and I never thought that my pain was any way different to anybody else's. I had a snowboarding accident when I was in my 20s and I fell forward and broke my wrists. But actually, I had chronic pain in my lower back, and I remember the doctor in Canada said I'd get that checked out when I go back to Dublin, and that started me looking for answers and kind of trying to get a diagnosis. And I was misdiagnosed with endometriosis and polycystic ovaries, and eventually, after a family intervention saying she's taking all these tablets all the time and always giving out, I was diagnosed in the UK with spinal stenosis, which brought me into the medical system here in Dublin and into St Vincent's, and that's when I started my heavy duty tablets. And they kind of knew there's a degenerative problem here. So that was the start of it.
Can you describe the pain? Because obviously when you go to the doctor they say, is it a sharp pain, is it a dull pain, where is it? Was it kind of all over? Was it sharp? Was it dull? Were you just conscious of it the whole time, or how did it feel?
It felt like somebody was kicking me in my ass with a steel boot.
Ouch.
And I was waking up in the middle of the night and I kind of got shooting pains, a lot of it, and in my legs, and I thought everybody had them. So I just used to think everybody had these pains. And I worked in television where a lot of people have a lot of pain and we take a lot of tablets and go, God, my back's sore and everything's really sore. So I didn't realise I was any way different. I was taking a lot of over-the-counter medication and I was very down on myself, and I started to wonder, was it me? Is there something wrong with me? Is it all in my mind? Am I depressed? You know, why is nobody talking about chronic pain? I had never heard the term chronic pain before. And I suppose I just kept it a secret and I didn't want to tell anybody I had it. And I was really ashamed of it because everybody else seemed to be getting better all the time. Anybody I knew would get better with their back or they'd see a great specialist, and I was the one that just didn't seem to be getting any better.
And it's interesting because pain is so subjective, because it's so personal to everybody, that trying to relate to other people's pain is often very difficult. Everything changed in 2013?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'd done 2 pain management courses in St Vincent's, so I knew I had a serious long-term problem. But I was in TV3, I was doing my animal A&E programme, it was a really busy month, it was December, I'd coming home for Christmas, and I got a phone call from my doctor. And if your doctor ever calls you, listen, because they don't call, you normally get their secretaries, and he said, you know, we found on your new scans additional degeneration, but also you have a rare neurological disorder called Chiari Malformation 1. And I remember writing it down, and I didn't even ask him, I just said, thank you, yes, thank you, I'll see you in hospital on Friday, so to go in. And I knew I had to park that information, I couldn't think about it, because I had a busy month ahead. But I knew at the same time, my inner guidance was telling me your life's going to change. And I did something mad. I went up and I said to my boss in TV3, I want to apply for 3 months leave. And they were like, why? You're shooting a new show in January. And I said, no, I don't want to shoot the show, I'm taking 3 months off. And everybody just thought, I don't know what's wrong with Andrea, but you know, something. But they didn't know, I didn't know what was wrong with me, I just knew. And I started to look into the power of healing and my own wellness, because when you get diagnosed with a brain disorder, on top of having spinal stenosis, back degeneration, you kind of have to say, I can't keep taking the tablets and pretending everything's okay. So I started to look at alternatives.
And how has everything kind of developed since then, since you took your 3 months leave? Has everything kind of improved?
Well, I never went back. I wrote a book. Who knew I was going to do that? And I joined Chronic Pain Ireland, and I became, like what I did with the animals, an advocate for chronic pain, and was asking, why isn't anybody talking about this? I started looking into the placebo effect, the power of the mind to heal. How is it that some people can use the power of their brain through a sugar pill and heal? Then I can, and I got really into my own inner healing and studied clinical hypnotherapy. And my husband was like, you're a broadcaster, you studied TV in college, now you want to be a hypnosis expert? And I went and studied Reiki and just every alternative, because I wanted to apply the same dedication I did to my career to my own self-healing. And it was extraordinary. I stopped using the word pain, I started to challenge the language of pain, I joined Chronic Pain Ireland, and it has made an enormous effect on my life. And it changed me as a person, and it changed my wellness. And I really believe that the story will inspire and hopefully change others.
Yeah.
You know, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And it made such a huge change on everything.
It's something that's become a real trend at the moment around mindfulness and the power of, you know, CBT.
Yes.
and really focusing on the positive things. What kind of effect has hypnotherapy and relaxation in particular kind of brought?
Well, if you're stressed and if you've got pain, you have the fight or flight mode, and this can affect everybody, and even it's changed my husband's life. But if you're constantly stressed, that is always going off in your mind. So what we need to elicit is the deep relaxation, and the only way to do that is to get into the alpha state, which is through meditation or hypnosis. So I went in and I did the hypnosis, and because I was doing TV all the time, I started to record my own curative hypnosis, change the language of it. Language is my thing. It's when I'm writing scripts, that's what I do. And I really started to empower myself with all these positive affirmations. I'm healing myself back to its natural state of full health, and you know, even I'm losing weight and I feel great. I mean, I threw everything at it because I thought, why not try everything? Eating healthy, and I started listening to it over and over again. And it took time, but honestly, after about a year and a half, it had a massive difference. It's not something that happens overnight, but I had to live with pain every day. So this is part of a wellness plan and a pain management plan, and there's other things in there like positive self-talk and then how you can change things around your house. But really, I think the cathartic journey for me was admitting I had this pain. I mean, it was a really big decision to put my story down on paper, and I'm very honest. I mean, I talk about drinking a bottle of wine a night to get rid of the pain, you know. Not pretty things when you're looking for a job and you're going back.
And that's what I was going to ask you, because when you do read the book, and it's wonderful, it is very raw and it's very tough going at times, and it is quite upsetting. Was it a difficult process for you to write it? Did you find yourself revisiting a lot of things that you didn't necessarily want to revisit, or was it ultimately just a very cathartic thing?
Oh, so hard. It was so hard. And I asked myself, why are you doing this? Why you don't need to do this? Nobody needs to know about this. Just put it back, because I'd written diaries all my life. But I suppose from joining Chronic Pain Ireland and realising that there was no other book like it out there in the Irish market, and I did 2 pain management programmes, and I want other people to write their own stories, and you know, there needs to be more books on things like this, and that's what makes, you know, the conversation happen. And suddenly now we're talking about it now, but it's been in loads of media and people want to now do programs about it. But when I pitched this 3 years ago, I could do programs with animals in pain and animal A&E, but when I said people in pain, they were like, I don't think people have chronic pain. But suddenly there's been like an outpouring of support, and I think even the medical side is shifting, because they're really starting to look at the power of the mind, because we only use approximately maybe 15% of our brain, and there is a huge amount there we can tap into, and you need hope. And since then, actually, I've been diagnosed, or I have POTS, which is another long diagnosis, and possibly EDS, so there's 2 more chronic conditions on top of it. So hadn't my life changed, I just wouldn't be here having this positive chat with you, because it would have, you know, it was going into a bad direction, you know.
I would say it's an absolutely incredible story. Speaking of stories, any books that you'd like to recommend to anybody watching?
Well, I have been so lucky because I got a very early edition of Sam Blake's brand new book.
Little Bones.
Little Bones. If you like thrillers and crime, it is, I just can't put it down. And I'm so excited because it's a trilogy. So I'm not at the end yet, but already I'm like, you know, one of those books that, and I love that, a book can bring you off into new places, and I'm in a great place at the moment.
Fantastic. Little Bones is published in May, so keep an eye out for that. And Pain-Free Life, My Journey to Wellness by Andrea Hayes is now available in Eason stores and on easons.com. Andrea, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you soon.